Show me the real X-Men. I said the real X-Men. Perfection. Well, I'll be damned. They nailed it. X-Men 97 is damn near perfect. I grew up watching the original X-Men show as it aired. I was obsessed with this show and the X-Men from the moment I saw it. This was one of the coolest things I'd ever seen, and it had the best theme song after the Transformers movie song. Back in 2023, I rewatched the show, and I was surprised how much they were able to get away with. Gambit literally can't keep it in his pants. You've got a love triangle between Scott, Jean, and Logan. They're using the word mutie like a very obvious stand-in for racial slurs, and they kill off a character in the first episode. This is a kid's show on Fox. Back then, they wouldn't let Batman use the villain Firefly because of too much fire, or let the Spider-Man show use real guns. And yet, every episode, Wolverine is threatening to gut somebody, and Remy is like, Gambit getting in them pants. But what really made the show awesome was the storytelling. The writers did a great job handling the themes that define the X-Men, being the outcast, working for a better tomorrow, overcoming self-hate, evil begetting evil. Every episode wasn't perfect, but the writers usually made it work, and this is on top of having to condense plot lines that take place over dozens of issues into 1 or 2 episodes. So, Disney and Marvel Studios had their work cut out for them. I gotta admit, I didn't expect them to pull it off. Most of their recent efforts haven't been good. It seems like every time they can drop the ball, they make it their mission not to just drop it, but to slam it into the ground with the force of a nuclear bomb. But X-Men 97? This is perfect nostalgia, from the voice cast to the animation to the theme song. They brought back most of the original cast, although a few voice actors were replaced. Jubilee's voice actor left to give the role to an Asian actor, which I think is silly, but the new actor does a good job matching the voice. Cyclops' original actor, Norm Spencer, passed away, so he was replaced with Ray Chase, who pretty much nails the voice. Obviously, after nearly 30 years, people's voices change, so the cast doesn't sound exactly like they did in the original show, except for Alison Seeley Smith as Storm. She's dead on. The animation is good. To be honest, I don't like the change to the modern look. There was nothing stopping them from making it look exactly like the original show, but the animation isn't bad. There are some questionable choices with the lip syncing, and that scene with Jubilee dancing, yeah, that's bad. But overall, the animation is good. It's not going to win any awards, but that was true of the original show. And to give the animation team full credit, while they did do some great work with fight scenes, the intro is flawless. It's the original intro shot for shot, with some minor changes to add in new characters like Magneto, Morph, and Bishop, and to update the designs. They also updated the song. It's the same song, just a little darker with slightly more grit on the guitar. I know Kevin Feige got the rights to the song, however music rights are kind of finicky, so I think they might have re-recorded it less to update the song, and more to avoid having to shell out more money for royalties over the original recording. If you love the original show, you will love the first 2 episodes. They pick up a few months after the original show ended, and the writing for the episodes is fantastic. It feels like it's the same style and overall tone of the original show. It does seem like the now fired showrunner and writer Bo DeMaio struggled with writing Jubilee and Sunspot though, mostly because they're supposed to be cool hip 90s kids, and those mannerisms are now outdated. They're kind of 90s kids, but then they're not. But overall, it feels like the same show. I did watch the last couple of episodes of the original series before watching 97, and aside from the look and voice changes, I honestly wouldn't know there was a 30-year gap. It feels like just another season. So if you're a fan of the original show, definitely check it out. This isn't the end of the video, by the way. I'm going to get into some spoiler stuff, so this is a place for people to bow out if they want to avoid spoilers. Seriously, go and watch the show. I promise you will enjoy it. Now, to get into the story, the first episode revolves around Cyclops taking over after Xavier's murder, and the difficulty of him having to deal with a new leadership role and becoming a father. Jean is pregnant, and she wants to leave the team so that they can raise their son in a normal environment. Henry Gyrick's murder of Xavier also shifted public sentiment in favor of the mutant cause. Valerie Cooper works with federal and international governments to further assist mutants, like getting rid of the remaining Sentinel tech. Unfortunately, Bolivar Trask, who created the Sentinels and was supported by Gyrick, is missing and has started making new Sentinels. He's also started trading the Sentinel tech with the anti-mutant group the Friends of Humanity, who kidnap mutants, like Roberto da Costa, Sunspot, to sell to Trask in exchange for Sentinel tech. The X-Men need to track down Trask and stop him from making more Sentinels, and to do it, they're going to need the help of Gyrick. The show does a great job of setting up the new status quo while making it feel like the old show. When Storm and Bishop show up to rescue Sunspot, we get to hear Storm do her thing, and it's perfect. Didn't miss a beat. However, it's Cyclops who steals the show. They make him look like a badass. He's using his I-beams to slide back and forth and take potshots off of people. Later in the episode, after the Blackbird gets wrecked, he uses his beams to slow his fall. They done made Cyclops the coolest dude in the show. We also get the personal interplay that Claremont made famous in his legendary run. The team is fractured following Xavier's death. They follow Cyclops as a team leader, but they don't view him the same way as they did Xavier, so they don't respect his authority, which bothers him. Roberto is hesitant to show off his powers out of fear his parents will reject him. Then there's Gyrick, Trask, and the Friends of Humanity. These are all people very convinced of their positions no matter how bad those positions are. The first episode ends with Jean getting bad feelings about the future after reading Gyrick's mind, and the X-Men beating Trask, and Scott and Jean announcing that they're leaving the team, only to be interrupted by an intruder in Xavier's old office. It's Magneto, to whom Xavier has left his home, his wealth, and his X-Men. That leads us into the second episode, which is phenomenal. It's a pared-down retelling of the trial of Magneto. Kudos to DeMaio for condensing Magneto's change of heart, his attempts to prove that change, and his trial all into a 30-minute episode and making it work. Magneto goes around saving humans to try to follow Xavier's ideals, but he makes it clear that he really isn't buying into any of it. He's just trying to honor his friend. The X-Men, however, are skeptical about his intent. Rogue wants to give him a chance, but everyone else is like, nah. Scott goes so far as to tell Jean to read Magneto's mind to see if he's lying. Jean checks him, but it really doesn't help the situation. Cyclops doesn't trust Magneto. Of course, the feeling is mutual. Now, Magneto doesn't just save humans, he also saves the Morlocks, who have been captured by the Friends of Humanity, and then he rubs it in the X-Men's faces that he used Xavier's money to send the Morlocks to Genosha, a thing neither Xavier or the X-Men bothered to do. Technically, he's right. They did just kind of leave the Morlocks to sort things out themselves. Sure, that's what the Morlocks wanted, but only Magneto could say this in the most correct yet dickish way possible. As Magneto's trying to prove his intentions, Jean and Storm have a heart-to-heart where Jean admits that she wants her son to be normal, something she doesn't tell Scott. It's one of those on-the-nose scenes where you know exactly what it's referencing, and it works. The one criticism I have about the scene is that Storm makes a distinction between being human and mutant, and that feels out of character. The X-Men don't usually see themselves as something other than human. They see themselves as another type of human, but not an inherently separate species. That's more a Magneto thing. We also get a scene with Magneto and Rogue hinting at a past relationship. That is a deep dive into the lore right there, because I bet nobody's thought about their hot fling in the Savage Land in decades. At any rate, Valerie Cooper shows up and demands that Magneto face trial for his war crimes. While this goes down, the leader of the Friends of Humanity gets ready to attack the X-Men using a gun that's been supercharged by power-dampening collars. At the trial at the UN, Magneto hears the charges against him. Wolverine and Jean watch it on TV while the rest of the team is at the trial just in case something happens. When Magneto gets to defend himself, he gives an impassioned speech about being hunted for his race and religion, and then being hunted by his own people and those who hunted them because of his mutation. He defends his actions as protection against extermination, but the judges aren't buying it. I love this scene because it shows the disconnect people can have when justifying their actions. One judge questions how they can trust Magneto if he thinks humans are trying to exterminate mutants immediately after Magneto points out that humans created machines to hunt and kill people, including children, just for existing. They are literally doing the thing he just described, and they're like, but why are you calling it extermination? We're just protecting ourselves by killing kids who haven't done anything to us. Why should we trust you? And then, as if to answer that question, the Friends of Humanity break into the building and say that they're looking for Magneto and the judges. And the judges are shocked, and they ask why, and Magneto, true to form, throws it back in their face.
You gave a monster a trial. Now you are traitors to your kind. Oh, to play by the rules, and still they come for you.
While this happens, Jean goes into labor, and hilarity ensues as Logan tries to get her to the hospital. Of course, once she's there, the doctor refuses to deliver her baby because she's a mutant. Back at the trial, the Friends of Humanity leader, calling himself the Executioner, comes into the building and commits to whooping the X-Men's collective asses. Just destroys all of them. He gives special attention to Cyclops, ranting the whole time that humans have it worse than mutants, but at least they don't whine about it. Morph comes in for the save, and Scott finds out that Jean's in labor, so Rogue takes him to the hospital while Storm and Magneto try to protect the judges. They take care of the regular Friends of Humanity, but when the Executioner comes in, he aims his souped-up gun at Magneto, and Storm throws herself in front of the shot. It doesn't kill her, but it does shut down her powers. This pisses off Magneto, and he snatches up the Executioner, the judges, and Valerie Cooper and flies up towards the atmosphere. Then he goes on this rant about how small and pathetic they are, but instead of dropping them, he breaks the situation down. Normally, he'd have killed them for what they did to Storm, but he's trying to honor Xavier's dream.
And it does not ask you to love or embrace my kind as your own, but merely to accept that this is a shared world with a common future, and that my kind, like yours, have the right to live in it. Please. Do not make me let you down.
So, following this, he gets pardoned. Scott and Jean welcome Nathan Charles Summers. Rogue and Magneto seem to be getting it on. Storm finds out from Beast that her powers are permanently gone, and leaves a letter that Jean reads to everyone saying Storm's leaving the team. Morph says she'll probably come back right away, and just as he says it, the doorbell rings. However, it's not Storm at the door, it's Jean Grey. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. They kind of gave away that this would happen in the second episode's intro, because we see Jean as a Phoenix, which means one of these Jeans is actually Madeline Pryor, her clone. But I love the cliffhanger. I was actually mad that I have to wait a week to see what happens next. I love these two episodes. I could point out little flaws, but there's no real problems with the show. However, that's probably not going to deter some people from trying to find something wrong. All those people who declared the show woke because the now fired showrunner and writer Bo DeMaio made Morph non-binary will probably try to find something, anything, to take issue with because they're not going to admit they got it wrong. Real quick, just to address the Morph situation, it's not mentioned in either episode. I'm sure it'll come up, and I'm fully prepared to roll my eyes because it is a ridiculous, unnecessary change. Just because Morph is a shapeshifter doesn't mean he's neither male nor female. That doesn't make any sense. That said, so far, it's not a problem. However, where I think the usual suspects will take issue is with the Trask, Gyrick, and Executioner scenes and Magneto's speech. It's not hard to figure out from whom DeMaio got the inspiration for those views, but I can easily see a certain group of people first taking offense, then denying that anyone thinks like this, then claiming that it's an attack on their group, and then ironically claiming that all three men are justified because what they said is actually true and kinda based. And they're free to do that, although it'd be a pretty good sign that they missed the point of the X-Men. To be clear, I'm just getting this out the way because I know there are going to be people trying to find a reason not to like the show, and I've tried to steelman the best case argument they likely make. I'm probably giving them too much credit, but I'm nothing if not generous. That said, there's really nothing to complain about in the show. It's awesome. It's what people have asked for. It's the X-Men as you know and love them. Now, it's entirely possible that the show goes downhill. I mean, that's what happened with Kenobi. It's possible that everything following this is a hot mess, but the first two episodes, they are on point. They are perfect nostalgia. If you love the 90s show, you will love X-Men 97. Watch it and enjoy yourself. But what do I know? I'm just some guy.